Hey, and good afternoon from Truth, Human Lies Matter. I just finished listening to a free domain radio Stefan Molyneux recording. It was 18 minutes, 20 seconds long, which is really short for his recordings in general. Most of the time his stuff is so long, most people don't have time to spend sitting down to listen to it. I, however, have watched a lot of his hour-long and plus programs, and I generally agree with him on just about everything. He is a philosopher, and he is also quite political, and he makes a lot of sense to me, personally. Anyway, his video that I'm referring to is something that was posted, yesterday. It was published yesterday on Halloween the 31st, and it's called Women We Need to Talk About Hillary Clinton. And there are definitely things in this post that I agree with, and then things that I know society has put before me in my life as a woman that makes me go and have a libtard style cringe. But at the same point in time, I know logically that those things are just set there by society and this whole liberal Marxist style, socialist style government and schooling system that we live in. Now, I'm in my 40s, and I didn't go to school in a time frame where I felt I was being pushed with the whole feminist equality kind of genre of propaganda. I believe women are equal to men, but I also believe that women and men have different attributes about them that are specifically to their gender. Women are better at certain things than men, and vice versa. Men are better at certain things than women, including physical strength, and what he is speaking about in this particular topic, knowing about history and politics. Men, both of those two things, tend to know more about. I am probably an odd woman out, being that I am involved in political news on a regular basis, trying to promote it and get it out there and get information out there to people so that they can understand a more conservative, logical ideal set based on a libertarian style mindset and smaller government and personal freedom, etc. I've done a lot of study. I've spent years and years and years studying something that I was seriously not interested in my 20s. When I was in my 20s, and this is funny, and I don't want to go on too long about this, but when I was in my 20s, I was in a band, and I wrote my own music, and I sang, and I wrote a song called Mother You Don't Know Me, and I have a recording of it up on YouTube on one of my other channels somewhere, an old recording. It's terrible, out of a videotape. But one of the things in the song is, Mother You Don't Know Me, though you held me when I was a little babe. And one of the lines after that's the main line in the song, and one of the lines after that is, I don't like religion or politics, and I didn't really want to know about anything that had to do with something political when I was in my 20s when I wrote this song. I had interests in things, but they were things like animals and ecology and saving the seals. I was a member of Save the Seals when I was a kid, and I love animals, and I rescued animals for years. I took kitty cats off the street and doggies off the street and brought them in my home and cleaned them up and got them healthy and rehomed them, and sometimes I kept them because they just clicked into the pack, very well. But I was on a softer side of life. I was on a softer side of life during my 20s and even into my early 30s. But there was something in life when I got in my early 30s, something started to change. And I was able to, almost like I woke up and one day I was able to comprehend politics like a chess game. And I was able to look at things and go, wait a minute here, that's just not right. Or, that's very right and nobody's listening to it. And that's what I've been seeing for the last, I'll give it from 9/11, 2001. And that's probably part of what woke me up about what was going on, is that the whole 9/11 thing, I'm still skeptical about the official story on it. And, you know, over time I've found out actual real data and information that still leads me to be skeptical about it, even after. But see, in a certain time frame of my life, I wasn't interested. I didn't want to know. I mean, I voted. Believe me, I voted every election, every presidential election from the time I was 18 years old, I voted. Okay? I was actually, I think, in my early 20s when I became old enough and there wasn't an election going on. But I have voted in every election since I've been old enough to do so. Even some local ones as well, and state. Not all of them, but some of them. But I was voting from a underinformed opinion until I was about 35. And that's sad. And that is what is, you know, being spoken about here on Stefan Molyneux' video he posted yesterday. Women, we need to talk about Hillary Clinton. And I need to talk about the fact that he's right. Now, there's a feeling you get when you're a young man or a young woman where you feel like you're battling the world for your cause, you know, and everybody's got to have a cause in their life, you know, something that drives them to do something with their life. Otherwise, they sit on the couch and play video games all day or watch soap operas and just go blah. If you could have seen the face I was making, you would have laughed. But, so, there are people out there that do just zone out into something that is not important. And there are people out there that get fanatical about things that are not important to our society in general. Things like reality TV shows and sports and even music. I love music. I've loved music my entire life. My father is a musician and, you know, has had songs on albums on sale at iTunes and other places for years and years and years. Teaches guitar and classical music, and, you know, he's brought me into the music world, and I love it. But the people that are in those businesses, particularly like the rap genre right now and maybe some of the heavy metal genre, they are speaking to an audience of youth, of these young people. And if they're putting stuff in their songs in a social kind of way, you know, when a rapper says, oh, blah, 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 bad cops, or blah, 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 you know, this, you know, or whatever it may be, they don't show a good example for individuals who are educated. They're not educated people themselves. And the only thing they're doing is they are injecting their undereducated opinion into society at mass amounts. You know, so same thing goes on with you know, movies and Hollywood, but there's a little bit more check on them. But particularly when you get into the rock and rap genres of music, it becomes socially political in a way. And so, you know, if you're a fan of that stuff and you're listening to it, you're being relatively brainwashed. And the same thing goes on with our mainstream media. Some of these reporters out there are absolutely ridiculous. I watched some videos on CNN the other day, and I don't watch CNN anymore because everything that comes out of their mouth is just hogwash. I used to watch The View. I can't watch The View anymore. The women on The View are just, I'll use the term again, libtards. They don't have a grasp on anything above the face value of a situation. And that's, I think, one of the main problems. If you have a problem, okay, let's say crime in the inner city, mostly between black and Hispanic people, okay? You taking the guns away or a frisk situation can slow that problem down, okay? Banning assault weapons in the country could slow that process down slightly. I mean, but there's still going to be illegal stuff that's on the street that you can get any given day of the week if you know the right person, okay? But the situation with that is that does not solve the issue that caused the problem in the first place, the violence in the first place. The problem is deeper than that. And if you do not go to the depth of that problem and pick apart what caused the problem, everything's cause and effect. You know, we have a democratically run, socialist-based society running cities that have become like a third world country. Inside our country, these buildings, I'm looking at pictures of Detroit a couple days ago, and I was like, holy cow. I mean, just the buildings, abandoned buildings, and it looks like a zombie apocalypse movie. It looks almost as bad as the pictures you see of Syria after being bombed. I mean, it's not bombing damage, and you can tell the difference, but the desolation of it, the garbage everywhere, it's just horrible. And I've seen pictures of even neighborhoods that are in use, places that are in use, and supposedly, you're supposed to be helping the cities, but giving people all this social money, be it, Medicaid, food stamps, subsidies for housing, Section 8, etc., 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 and not fixing the issue that caused them to need that stuff in the first place. That's what I have issue with. And that's how I see things. I look deeper into the same thing as follow the money. Follow the reasons behind those social problems. And the reasons are generally not what these people think the reasons are. They think, oh, it's prejudice, it's profiling, it's blah, blah, blah. Those aren't the reasons. The reasons they're having problems is because industry is gone from those areas. There's nowhere to work. People can't hold their families together, and they don't bother to even get to the point where they have a family. They don't marry and have children. They have children by whoops. It's just a messed up situation. And I got about a minute and 17 seconds left here. But I just wanted to, get that out. I wanted to say that you are out there voting for, if you're voting for Clinton, you're voting for something that you don't know enough about. Because if you knew enough about Clinton, you would not give her your vote. And you must be watching the wrong stuff. And when it comes to Donald Trump, nobody likes him. The establishment doesn't like him. The Republicans don't like him. That's why I like him. Because if those people and the Democrats and the Republicans and the establishment don't like Donald Trump, he's my man. We have to get out of the corruption. As he says, we have to drain the swamp. And we have to look at the source of where the issue came from. Dig deep. And comb through everything. And find out where it's coming from, how deep it is, and get it out. Drain that swamp. Get it out. We will not be dealing with that anymore. We need to clean out our government. Bye. Run out of time. 5, 4, 3, to